as I normally do. It is a morning. I don't know how good it is, but it only deserves one good morning today. However, we are here. We are here. And yet again, we have something else tragic that we're going to have to talk about. But first, KBOB 89.9 FM radio, KBOB 89. Why you over there cheering?
Energy drinks. We
Mm-hmm.
got to pull it together.
What's in them drinks?
I wish.
What's in your cup?
Celsius.
KBOB 89.9 FM radio, KBOB899.com, iTunes Radio, iHeartRadio, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and of course YouTube. You can always reach us at 918-856-3873. And if you have a topic and you want us to drop it, please drop it in one of any of our inboxes. And who knows, you might get to come on here and talk about the topic that you dropped, because if you dropped it, that means you want to talk about it.
Nope,
Hello.
That's not necessary.
Yes, they do.
That's not necessarily true, though.
Well, if they drop it, they're going to talk about it. So you better not drop it unless you want to talk about it.
Drop it
you can drop it in my inbox. I'll bring it to her.
And then we're going to call you.
She said, I'll bring it to
I
her.
will not. I'll be like, hey, listen, what do you think about this?
I'll be like, call her, because I know that somebody dropped that in that topic.
I don't know what you're talking about. Listen.
Yeah, she thinks she's slick.
You can be anonymous and put it in my inbox.
Don't be no chicken. Don't be no chicken.
If you just... Oh, yeah, that was another topic. I'll put that in your inbox. Now you think about it.
Being a chicken. Currently, the temperature is 62 degrees. The high will reach 82 and will fall back to 61. In Miami, it is currently 74 degrees. The high will reach 79 degrees, and the temperature will fall back to 75. Los Angeles currently is 62. The high will reach 76. The low will fall back to 62.
What's it like in Mississippi?
In Chicago, I was going to say something crazy. Chicago, it is currently 62. The high will reach 76, and the temperature will fall back to 55. But we might need to figure out. Good morning, sissy. We might need to find out what the temperature is going to be in Mississippi. You know what?
Mississippi is in the building.
Mississippi.
Crooked letter I.
Crooked letter I. Humpback I.
I just want to say hump on the radio. Anyway.
Have you heard about the humpback whales?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why the ocean water is salty, because they be in there humping and releasing.
Bobby Brown's humping around with platinum.
Yeah, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And he has a special. And he has a special coming out. But you know what?
I've been watching it.
You have? Oh, it's already out. I'm late.
Well, it came out a couple days ago. That it's pretty cool.
Well, so yesterday, in the midst of everything that was going on, I think I turned around in the shop and I read that multiple people shot in critical incident at a Wisconsin funeral. And the only reason I'm mentioning Wisconsin, the funeral, is because in the midst of everything else has been going on. So you mean to tell me, do you guys not remember Wednesday when we came in here, we announced about the shooting that took place at Xavier University at a graduation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was last weekend. Okay, that was last weekend. We're still reeling from Tops. We're still reeling from Ross.
Specifically from Ross. I mean, Tops is bad.
The church in Iowa, the church in LA, because that happened the day after Tops. At that time, we were up to 222
we were over, yeah.
Mass shootings this year. So at this point, I think we've at least reached 235 or almost 240. And it is the sixth month. It is the sixth month of the year. We have 6 more months, and summer hasn't even officially hit. Even though the children are out of school, people are still getting acclimated to being home. But the only reason I'm mentioning this is because it just kind of goes with everything that we've been talking about. Now, you have to be a miserable person to go to a funeral and shoot it up. There is nothing else you can do. Don't tell me that there was no place else that you could have found whoever it was that you were having beef with, other than an already sad occasion.
Remember back in the 90s, gang members used to come into rival gang members' funerals to shoot.
Take out the ops.
I mean, obviously not here, thankfully, but yeah, in California they used to have an.
They had some altercations here at funerals.
I mean, altercations, but not shootings,
because they had police presence. Whew. I remember my friend being killed, and I wasn't allowed to go to. I was allowed to go view the body. Mm-hmm. I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. and they had police on the bridges where the cars was passing. He had to have security up there while they were viewing the body because they was up there messing with the body. It was just it was too much. But it says multiple people have been shot in a critical incident at a cemetery where a funeral was taking place. The incident took place during the funeral at Graceland Cemetery and Racine in Thursday afternoon. So this was yesterday. Please avoid the area of Graceland Cemetery due to a critical incident. At 2:26 p.m., there were multiple shots fired at the cemetery. There are victims, but they are unknown as to how many at this time. The scene was deemed an active shooter situation. Police have not officially confirmed the number of victims or described their conditions. The funeral was being held for DeShante King Sr. The funeral home and crematory confirmed to TMJ4 News, which says that up to 5 people may have been injured. King was reportedly shot and killed by a Racine police officer on March 20th when he was pulled over doing a firearms investigation. So, if he was killed by police by being pulled over, who went and shot this funeral up?
Well, who was he running guns for? I would assume it'd be the other side.
I think he said he was 20 years old. Is that what I said?
I mean, obviously he was involved in something.
It says that investigators claim that King got out of his vehicle with a firearm, and when he refused to drop the weapon, was shot and killed by police. The shooting comes a day after gunmen killed 4 victims in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. So it said March, but obviously it had to have been May, because if he was died in March, they wouldn't be burying him now.
Well, it depends.
March, April, May.
That's
no.
too much.
Yeah.
Unless they put him on ice.
No, ain't that much ice now.
You'd be surprised. Oh, dear goodness. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, being the tipping point, because what happens is once you hit this point, then it's just a bunch of copycats.
Or so we think, or we think they're copycats. Who knows what they were?
Well, because they're various. Because I'm assuming that this funeral, again, was African American.
It's not saying, but by DeShante, the name.
Right. I'm just going by the name.
By the name, I mean, I know that probably sounds really bad, but I mean, let's just keep it real.
It's not bad. It is what it is.
If somebody say Michael, we don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Somebody say Sarah, you may not really know. But if somebody say Shaniqua,
Keyshawn,
something like that.
Tamika's actually. It's went pop.
I don't know. On that Martin episode, you remember that white girl Timon was dating named Boquisha?
Oh yeah.
That's a kid.
Yeah. So, if you can real quick, because we don't want to stay too much, because we need to talk about we need to talk about us. Now it's time for healing with us. And good morning, all the way from Las Vegas. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. I know you are a native of Tulsa, so good morning to you. So I know even though you may not have known anybody personal, your roots are definitely here, and for that I appreciate you. Good morning, Donnie. How are you? So really quick, the top situation. There was something that came from this, something that came out of this. So we didn't get a chance to talk about it Wednesday. So could you elaborate for us?
Yeah. So, I'm the conspiracy nut over here. So what I did was I found a TikTok that talked about that the gentleman, I forgot his name, the one specific gentleman. Can you look that up real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. The one specific gentleman that went live on the news talking about he had created this engine that ran off of water. And they're saying that a month after that happened, he got shot in the store. Now here's the conspiracy about it, because the guy that shot the people in Tops, he is only being charged with first-degree murder, 1 count. And my theory is that when he went in to talk to the police, he says, I only intended to kill this person and I knew where they were going to be. And that's why it became a premeditated murder. So here's the thing. The reason why it's so interesting is because prior to this murder, there was another gentleman who, and I think he was Caucasian, who had created an engine that ran off of water as well. And he was killed within a month as well.
Stanley Meyer.
Stanley Myers. Okay, so that's the gentleman that was killed in Tops, right?
Well, no, that's the guy that you just mentioned.
Okay, so the white guy that got killed. And he was poisoned. So he allegedly he was poisoned by the people who said that they were going to sign contracts with him and mass produce this engine. Because think about it, if we have an engine that runs off of water, how would that shut down the gas and oil industry? I mean, it would shut them down, but it would make it cheap and easy and clean access for us to operate machinery, and it would be such a liberating experience not to pay so much money for our cars and our machines. So they shut him down is what the conspiracy theory is. It's not just that this guy just randomly drove 200 miles to shoot black people, because he could have did that in his own, city, but he was specifically sent out to commit an assassination.
Well, here's the now I'm also a conspiracy theorist. So he drove 200 miles, and and I get it that maybe he was being tracked. The guy that you're saying did the motor that runs with water. I get that, but how do you specifically know at that particular time that he's gonna be in that store driving?
It was set up. Somebody was looking for him.
I get that, but you said he drove 200 miles. Right. He drove 200 miles.
So the gentleman that we're talking about, what's his name?
The black security guard?
Mm-hmm.
The one that died?
Yeah.
This is the guy that did it?
Yeah.
The retired police officer? Mm-hmm. And you know what? What's crazy is that everybody kept saying then, where's Blue Lives Matter now? Because even though he's retired, should he have not still had full police amenity? Should he have not still been respected just because he was retired? And you know what? Not one time did I hear Blue Lives Matter when this man passed away. Not one time. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was it. I think he was assassinated. I think that this was an assassination attempt on it. Well, it wasn't an attempt. He was successful. An assassination on his life, and unfortunately, the people that were there were collateral damage.
His name is Aaron Salter Jr.
There you go.
Aaron Salter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
It would have made
SALTR. But yeah, Aaron Walk.
But water is a free resource. And what if it was dirty water? I mean, what if we could have recycled dirty water using this engine?
I mean, the world is what 80-something% water. That's something water. That's something that we could afford.
Stay with me. You could pee in your engine.
I was just thinking that. I didn't want to say it. I was, oh my God, you got to get out of my head. I was just thinking that.
You could just
tickling.
Start up, baby.
But yeah, that's
not water. That's dirty water.
But that's absolutely true. Though anything that messes with
you ran out of gas in your
pee. Have people lined up by your car.
Don't you pee in that toilet no more. You got a bucket right.
It's gonna be coming through your vents. That's nasty. But go ahead, Deria. What were you getting ready to say?
I have a makeshift porta potty by your tank.
Is that right?
Had a nozzle going in your
Okay,
no number twos. You did number 2 word?
Not in the bucket.
You.
Not in the bucket.
Now you're caught and polluted.
You really will. You really will smell.
I didn't want to say that. I was just thinking
that. Lord. Okay. So with that being said, I mean.
But do y'all believe that do y'all believe that?
I do.
The only reason I'm saying that I might debunk that a little bit is because, okay, he could have been tracked, but still he would have still had to have leave in enough time to get there while he was exactly in that store is what I'm saying.
Oh, did y'all hear the news? Know his schedule?
He worked there.
Here's my thing.
He worked there. He was a security guard. He
Okay.
was a retired police
you did
officer.
Say that. Okay.
But he was on duty that day.
Right, okay.
And here's my thing. So this kid
that makes more
on
sense.
All of these racist sites. That's what I'm saying. I have heard stories about Aryan Nation grouping together and sending people from different areas. So all it takes is one kid willing to to prove
take
himself.
one for the team.
Exactly.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. I didn't realize that I was listening too slow. I didn't realize that he was the security guard. So that so that does make sense. I'm catching up now. Okay. So that does make sense that he had a schedule. You're right.
And see, when things like that happen, they do it in plain sight.
Yeah.
It's never nothing.
That's the best way to
done.
hide
Yeah,
everything.
You do it right in plain sight, and so
Nobody's looking for it.
It would look. Of course, it would look like an assassination if he just went straight in there and just killed him and left.
Right.
Then we know it's a hit. But when you kill multiple people, it's just like the government. Anytime at war, they always say lives are expendable in any war. Any war they have, they already know that there's going to be innocent lives.
There's going to be some casualties.
So I mean, think of it. I mean, you're already going through right now economic.
Depression.
Actually, they're predicting in 2025 for what you want to call it?
Food shortage. Depression.
Well, that's already happening, but somewhat of not depression, but
recession.
Well, there was a
economic crash.
Yeah.
So
they were already talking about it in the shop yesterday, talking about do as much as you can as far as canned foods and learning how to grow your own vegetables and stuff. And, because honestly, can we live without meat? Absolutely. Good morning. Absolutely. Can we live without meat? But learning how to grow our own vegetables and you can actually clean your own water. I mean, you can clean your own water if you boil it, I guess. I mean, you have to boil it a few times. And
I mean, there are a lot of
resources.
Survivalists that are really popping out the woodwork. Listen, I got clients who have parents who are trying to put them off the grid. That's why.
Actually, that's what a lot of during when Corona hit. They actually called it the tiny home movement when Corona hit. A lot of rich, wealthy people were
downsizing,
selling their houses and moving off the grid. They've been calling it off the grid, where they move these tiny homes.
So it's gonna be a community of rich people off the grid.
Oh no,
they don't stay in communities. They like going off.
I'll be honest with you, most of these people are not rich.
Well, no, I'm saying I know all of them aren't, but I'm saying a lot of them that are downsizing. And so, which to me, a lot of people are doing it backwards. Some people trying to upsize during the middle of a pandemic, while people.
Also, moving on, because that was something that I want to touch on. The first funerals of the Ross children took place starting Wednesday. There was actually a man that customized caskets for them. I thought that was really nice. There were funeral homes that donated the services so parents would not have to come out of the expense, but I don't think any parents should have to come out. I don't think we're ever truly prepared to bury our children. No. I don't think any of us are. I mean, unless that child was born sick and had been living sick and did not have a good quality of life, it might be the only time that seeing them transition might be peaceful for them. Not peaceful for you, but peaceful for them. The reality of it is that when people pass away, we're sad that they're gone, but we're more sad because we'll never get to see them again, and we'll never get to hug and kiss them again. If they're in a better place, which they say they are, then why would you not want your child or anybody you love to be in a better place? But me not being able to see you, hug you, tell you I love you, even yell at you, that's what's going to bother me. But we're going to move on from that too, because I really want to talk about the tragedy that happened right here. So this was a homegrown tragedy, and please feel free to jump in with anything that you guys have to say about it, because as Black Keys said when I was walking in, he's tired of talking about the shootings.
Well, here's my problem. Yes, we're tired, but also to the fact that it's just been too many
at one time. It feels like one time. It's been like every 24 to 48 to 72 hours. Or it seemed like.
That's why I felt like Tops was a turning point. Like I felt like that was a turning point. It made copycats, or it made people feel like, well, they're doing it.
It's kind of like the same way.
Tops ticked me out by the fact that he walked out of there without a scratch, and like he wasn't really being held accountable. I mean, he was, but he walked out there without a scratch. His shirt wasn't even torn. He flipped his hair. He did the most beautiful hair flip in the world. He walked out as if he did a good deed.
But that part I'm not shocked about.
Right.
I'm not shocked.
He's got the complexion for protection.
I'm not shocked about that part. But does that make? I'm not shocked about that. But does it make the other shooters feel like, well, look,
Okay, can I say this? So remember, I'm of this conspiracy theory that this guy was sent out there to do this. What if who arrested him was part of the people that
Yeah.
You mean the one that was patting him on the back?
Patting him on the back.
Really. I mean, no.
Pat him on
Because
the
you
back,
have them all
not a
throughout the
scratch.
organization.
Probably gave him a code word to let him know that, okay, you're going to be okay. And so he surrendered peacefully.
Could be.
Ooh, listen, my mind be going over.
No,
time.
I mean, because that's true. And that's how a lot of things keep happening, because a lot of times we look at the obvious, and I don't. To me, it's more than meets the eye of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can say anything, but no, the way the whole thing just played out, it didn't make sense to me from the beginning.
It absolutely did not make sense to me.
It didn't make sense to me. 200. Who does that? You passing out.
Specifically,
it didn't make sense.
A corner store that you didn't even know existed.
Exactly.
200 miles away. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know what's in the next city. I really don't, unless I've been there.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's what?
How would
17?
How would I know that this particular grocery store say he picked this black community, a specific grocery store?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Okay, so I don't.
They said he did. They said he stalked it.
For what?
He didn't rob it. Right. Here's my thing. So I've been to Oklahoma City a couple of times. I can't tell you what side of town the black people stay on.
I can.
I can't. I'm saying, hear what I'm saying? He's 17, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you what side of town the black people stay on. Yeah. I can't tell you what store they frequent.
I can tell you where the flea market's at.
I can't even tell you that.
Well, the outlet mall is at. It's specific things that I can tell you about. Not neighborhoods.
Right.
Maybe not grocery stores, but I can tell you specific things that are there.
Who is letting him drive around in a different city?
Whose car did he take, huh?
Right.
Whose car did he take?
And you mean to tell me, it was quarantine? No, it's not quarantine. You ain't watching your son. You don't know where he is.
That's just like somebody coming to Tulsa and shooting up Nathan's.
How long is that? How long of a drive is 200?
Well, Nathan's be having their own shootout.
Well, but I'm saying, though, that's like, because it's like we got plenty of
little
stores
places,
where, you know what I'm saying? You got
little corner stores.
Yeah, so
R&R,
so it's like, why would they particularly pick Nathan's? You know what I mean? When you got these R&R, like all these. So
if we were just going to gauge by 60 miles an hour, it would take 3 hours for him to drive from his place to this place. So you mean to tell me for every people stalking it, that's a 3-hour drive. That's a 6-hour drive back and front. Somebody sent him.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it. Like I said,
if we're just gauging by 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, but like I say, it didn't make sense to me from the beginning. But so I just usually, when stuff don't make sense, you just sit back, and then when more information come out, you be like, okay, now it
you know
makes
what?
sense.
I hear everything that you guys are saying, and everything is totally true. But none of this makes sense to me. The tops, the rock, none of this makes sense to me.
You need to check out the
show
the conspiracy theory.
The St. Francis Black Keys. You were just saying that your son was there. Well, had been there in the building.
A couple hours before the shooting. So if the shooting happened around 4, 5, then he must have been there around 3, from what my other son was telling me. I hadn't talked to him personally about it, but my daughter and my younger son made mention about it. So.
Yeah, they said a call came in just before 5.
It was like 4:51 or 4:52, and they were there, and everything had wrapped up, and everything had been done by like 5:01. So it took all of about 10 minutes for him to go in there and have this much mass destruction. So let's talk about a bunch of things. So first of all, this was in the Natalie building. Second of all, it was on the second floor. How was this man able to walk in a building with an AR hanging and handguns? Where was the security, first of all?
Well, I mean, but he got a gun in his hand.
Because
you can lock. If he got on the elevator, you can.
Well,
lock the elevator.
I didn't pay attention. So I have questions. Did he walk in with it on his shoulder, or did he have it in a bag?
No, they didn't specify how but they did say he had a handgun. And
he had a couple of handguns.
A handgun
and a semi.
And if you have a big duffel bag, you can conceal.
Well, no, he didn't have a duffel bag.
Let me tell you something.
He had a handgun and
I went to the doctor. I went to the hospital this same day. Okay, and I tried to get on the elevator, and I almost got tackled because I didn't have my mask on. I had a mask in my bag, but there was nobody else around when I went in there, so I just hadn't taken it out. And as I was getting, she said, no, come here. So that's all I'm saying. He was able to walk in, and keep in mind, I saw security, I saw valet when I went to the hospital. I saw both of those, and I was able to walk in, but I was also stopped because I didn't have a mask. So all I'm saying is, we're not perfect, and people do make mistakes, and maybe nobody was paying attention. I get all that, so I'm not victim blaming anyone, but I'm just saying, first of all, if he did get on the elevator, there's cameras in the elevator.
Right.
They're watching you every step of the way.
The way that hospital, the way that building is, you don't have to get on the elevator to get to those floors. Like the parking garage, each floor.
Yeah.
Like if I park on 2, I can go right in on 2. If I park on 3, I can just go right in on each floor.
Yeah.
It just gives the workers and patients access to come in the parking garage other than. And it's kind of like when you go to the casino or somewhere, you park in a parking garage. You know, you can go instead through the main. It got several levels.
Even if there's fobs to get in, he could have waited for
somebody to actually the door is automatic doors.
Oh, well then, yeah, he could have gotten in anyway.
Yeah, it's automatic doors, and heck, when you walk in, you can go to the elevator.
Yeah, or the stairs too. The way that building is almost like an open concept. The way the building is kind of like round. The way that building is kind of like a round, and then there's offices.
And then there's offices. One of the questions that somebody asked, because it was 2 doctors, of course,
a receptionist and a patient.
Yeah, but I was finna say that they were asking, like, as far as the guy and the patient, as far as the patients. They were asking, do they know if the patient was trying to stop the guy, or if he just randomly shot them from being there?
One of them was
because one of them was a guy. So the question was asked to the chief was, do they know if the shooter just shot them from being there, or were they trying to defend him off? Like,
well, they said one of the persons, and he hadn't been identified. That person hadn't been identified as of yet. But one of the persons was holding the door open, and they were letting people run out, and he shot them. He shot them. So he was, whoever it was, I don't know if it was a doctor or the patient.
Well, the other doctor was a female.
Right. And so they were holding the door open for people to go out, and he shot them. And I'm thinking the receptionist may have caught it first. I mean, she may have caught it first, because when you walk in, that's the first person you see. However, the note that he allegedly had in his pocket stated who he was specifically there for, but didn't have a problem with anybody else who got in his way. I'm here. The note allegedly read, "I am here for Dr. Phillips. I'm here to kill Dr. Phillips or anybody that gets in my way." Now that's some premeditation for you, but let's do like a little bit of a timeline. So he had surgery in May. He was May 19th. He was released May 24th. He called the doctor May 20. No, he got a gun. He purchased handguns May 29th. He had a doctor's appointment May 31st, which he had gone to the doctor and seen the doctor. Then he proceeded to call the doctor again June 1st, which was 24 hours later, asked for more treatment, purchased the AR at 2:00. And this happened at 4:50. That's 2 hours. Now, how accessible and how easy was it for him to just walk up in a store
or a gun? Was there a gun show?
And purchase? And no, not that day. Gun shows are normally on the weekend,
right? So
this was on a Wednesday.
So he shouldn't have been able to.
So he walked up
in the state of Oklahoma. As far as like buying shotguns or something like that, no, that's only on handguns.
Oh.
That's only on handguns, but you can go
buy AK, AR.
The handgun they think is more deadly because you can conceal it. An AR, they saying that it's too big for you to hide.
No, it's more accessible for them to get at a young age.
And it's all because you can't, because at 18 you can't buy a handgun. You literally have to be 21, but at 18 you can buy an AR. Okay, so again, I don't know if they do. I mean, they do background checks. I've purchased guns. They do background checks. And they did hand me my gun right then and there after they did it. But I was in that store at least an hour and a half doing the background check, because you literally have to fill it out on the computer. They send it to somebody else. They make a whole phone call back and talk to the person that's standing there. And if he was in that much back pain, that man had to have walked in there, unless he was on adrenaline or something else. That man had to have walked in there not walking too well if he was in that much pain. And do we let conspiracy theory,
right.
Do you think it was all about the back pain?
I think there was something else to it, because even if it was about the back pain, and this doctor would not issue him medication, because that's what I'm hearing.
He could have street drugs.
Right. He could have done something else. Right.
Yeah, because I don't think it was like everybody thinking that, he just wanted some pills. He appealed.
Right. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense.
And on top of that, if you ain't never dealt with back pain, you really don't know the excruciating pain.
Oh, man.
You don't. You can only speculate.
Listen.
I'm talking about to the point you can't walk.
Standing too long
can't
hurts.
stand.
Sitting too long
hurts.
Wrong shoes.
Nerves shooting all through the top and down the back of your body.
And so again,
which is no excuse.
If you're in that much pain, would you have the right state of mind to go and do this if you're in that much pain?
I mean, would you have the right state of mind? Yeah, I want to kill somebody, but is it?
Well, what I mean by that is,
I just don't think he would have the energy to.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think if you're in that much pain, do you really go buy a gun and stay there and do all that? And then
that's what I'm saying. There's something not adding up. And if it was drug-seeking behavior, he could have gotten drugs somewhere else. Why kill the doctor?
Yeah, you could get it because you can get it on the, like you're saying, on the street. But
because I mean, you want to kill the doctor? Something is not adding up. There's something that's not making sense. And of course, we don't know because this right. guy is now gone. But
there had to been some kind of confrontation.
There's something that
they said that he was calling him, asking him for more treatment. He kept, but it was only so much treatment he could give him. They said that he was calling him saying, "Hey, I'm in pain. You need to do something. And the doctor allegedly was telling him, "There's nothing I can do right now." I don't know if it.
They have this so-called protocol.
I think so.
For us.
Oh, because we can tolerate more pain. Okay,
no, it is. It like for Black people.
Right.
Yeah,
there is a medical standard that says that we can tolerate more pain.
Yeah.
We can.
But that's why they treat us that way. It's not true.
But I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm saying we can't all around the board. I know what you're saying. But can we? Yeah, we're resilient, tough people. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are resilient, tough people, but that's not fair. Why would you put somebody in that type of position where they can't even think straight and they're back? I mean, because that's some pain. And we just talked about labor, right?
He was thinking straight though.
We just talked. Yeah, he
was thinking.
Well,
he was thinking straight.
I was saying yesterday,
he was
pain management needs to be more than just physical pain. It also needs to involve some type of mental component with it, because it is mental. When you can't sleep, when you all that plays, which is by no means, this is no excuse to go do what he did.
Again,
by no means,
by no means have I heard them say he was mentally ill either.
I don't know the percentages of, but whatever it is, as far as so many percentages of Americans deal with back pain, but I don't know the extent of his, but no, it don't warrant for you to go take no lives.
And if you notice, no one has mentioned, thank God, no one has mentioned, he was mentally ill. To me, that's a cop-out. That's, to me, no one that I've heard have mentioned it.
Because he's not the right complexion for that. He's not the right complexion.
That's my point.
Yes,
that's my point. Nobody has mentioned, because even in the Tops things, he was mentally ill and disturbed and depressed. Even in the Ross thing, he was bullied, so mentally he was messed up. No one has mentioned. But I'm glad they haven't mentioned it because it gives mental illness a bad name. We're all mentally ill a little bit.
Well, they give you a list of things to check.
We all are.
We all are.
We all are.
But they give you a list of things to check on those papers, like when you're dealing with those type of pains, like have you thought about committing suicide?
Yeah.
They ask you, have you wanted to harm anybody, or how are you sociably now? Does it affect you socially? Does it have does it have you so they're gonna have to go through all of those, because each doctor visit he have to rate his pain, or he or she has to rate their pain. That in those same questionnaires that you ask, like, do you feel like committing suicide? Do you feel like da 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 da? Do you feel like? Of course, people are going to say no because they're going to be like,
what?
You ain't going to get.
The reason I'm smiling is because when I went to the doctor and I was in pain, and he said, do you think about hurting people? I said, all the time. He said, do you think about hurting yourself? I was like, I was like, mm-mm. He said, do you think about hurting everybody or certain people? I said, just certain people. He said, okay.
Sound like that little boy on that video.
But
not me. I'm your teacher, right? He's like, but not my teacher.
But I'm just saying. He said, yeah. No, he did, but he said, but no, not my teacher. But he would make it say. But I'm saying that to say that even though the doctor had asked me that, and I said I think about it all the time, he still knew that I was in the right frame of mind. And we were kind of like joking about it a little bit.
But
yeah, he knew that.
Why do you think he asked you that? Because
it was protocol.
Well, no, because they know it affects you mentally too. That's why he asked you. He did, but it was. Then he started rolling his chair back a little when he asked, "Did you ever feel like hurting?"
No, he actually. It was actually on a piece. It's actually on a piece.
Ever feel like hurting anybody?
It was actually on a piece of paper, and so when he said it, I was like, I do." He said, "You feel like hurting yourself?" I was like, "Nope." He said, "Do you feel like hurting everybody?" I was like, He said, "Oh, so just certain people?" I was like, "Yeah." So he knew then. Like so he knew then that it was, even though he was asking me the serious questions and I was joking about it, he also knew enough to by my answers and how I was acting that, she just in her, she messing around.
As a code red.
She orange. Let me see your purse. She orange.
The straight jacket on standby.
But I think too, and the part of being a doctor, and I could be wrong, part of being a doctor is you may not know every single time, but sometimes you might have to access how those answers are being answered to know when somebody may be joking, when somebody may be serious. But man, that's a hard job. And think about it. That's not a job that you don't think that you're going to not come home to.
You're just checking it on the paper.
Yeah.
So if they see something like
they have a conversation too with them.
When you check yes, they might ask you about that. But
yeah.
Generally, people go in and put on
the survey. Yeah.
So there's like a scoring sheet. So if you answer yes to this, then you go to this other set of questions.
Mm-hmm.
When you answer no, you go to another.
Or say skip. If the answer is no, skip down to such and such and such. But
but on these, like I was talking about, how we asked you, like, have you ever feel like hurting anybody and all
the time.
They ask you those are. That's why I say they need to some way incorporate some type of mental.
Component when it comes to pain.
But also, this particular type of doctor was not a doctor that you just go see all the time. You go see him for something specific. So
he's a specialist.
Right. So he may not have had days and months and weeks to evaluate. You understand what I'm saying? He was sent to him by another doctor for this procedure, right?
I've always heard generally too, in most cases, I've heard that when you have back surgery, some people, and they tell you that as far as like it could be that it could, the risk factors of it. But some people, I can't. Because
so again,
it's like a 50-50. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and to be able to move around like that,
right? To be able to hold that powerful of a gun because you're doing this. You know what I'm saying? To be able to not hold it, but to be able to execute, because that gun is so powerful. You're going to have a kickback and you have a little bit of a shake from it, right?
If his adrenaline is that's the only thing I can think of is because, I mean, man,
again, he had
his last little bit batch of medicine.
Okay.
Now, I can see that.
Now, I can see that
Amy
because
Daniels
they ain't going to give you no more to that.
Hold on. Amy Daniels makes a good point. We're not coming for the doctor as to what he should have done or what should have
absolutely
happened.
not.
We're honestly just having more conversation about how can we prevent this. I mean, we can't do anything, but how is there a way that we can prevent,
or how did it get to this point,
right?
How did it get to this?
I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody that was dealing with pain management stuff from a torn disc and bulging disc and all of that.
Ooh, listen. I had a car accident that I had to go to a chiropractor.
Dee said that she's been dealing with her pain specialist for over 20 years. There's a process. So in a case like that, I do get it, but that wasn't his case. He went and had a surgery and he went and had a surgery and then he didn't like it or he was in pain. So it doesn't appear, unless we're missing it, it doesn't appear that there was a long time history, because if he had it made, what you say?
No, the only way it had to be it's a long time history, because that's the only way you're going to be recommended for something.
I get that, but not from that particular doctor, right? Another doctor?
No, but he was the doctor that physically performed surgery on him. He
Yes.
probably did it at the hospital, but he was probably going there for his.
So you get a referral. You go to that. I mean, unless it's like an MRI or something like that.
So that particular building, they don't actually do surgery.
No, that's a doctor's
that's where
office.
He was going
right.
So,
okay. You get a referral.
That's a doctor's office.
So say you have to see a specialist. You get a referral. You go to see this doctor. He has to check you out to say, okay, we need to do this.
Right.
So he did have some kind of relationship with this doctor. He had to have, because you have to be checked out first in order for you to be recommended for surgery.
Absolutely.
Okay? Unless, I mean, I watch House. I don't know how it really operates in a hospital unless there is a special only surgeon that this doctor said this surgery has to happen and this surgeon did it. A different surgeon did it. I don't even know that happens. Normally when you have a doctor, that's the doctor that performs the surgery.
When I go to a doctor's office and if he recommends something, he is not the doctor that performs on me. He's the doctor that check me out and passes my information, and then I'll go see that doctor. He's not my primary caregiver. But you
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You did go see the other doctor.
I did to set up the surgery and for him to read my paperwork, but it wasn't a long-term relationship is what I'm saying. You go to the doctor, you go to your primary caregiver.
Right.
And then he does everything, and then he sends and recommends you to the specialist, and then the specialist gets your paperwork, and then y'all have a consultation, and then you guys set the surgery up. It's not something that you just go to that same doctor over and over and over. He's a specialist, so he only deals with you.
Oh yeah, I get it. So what if it's something that, okay, my doctor doesn't know what this is, so I'm going to recommend you to this back specialist.
Right.
And then you go see this back specialist, and he does have to have an examination. What? And he does have to examine.
Well, Dr. Phillips was the actual performing surgeon.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was. But I know that it could not have been unless because there was also a rumor came out that that he had performed one on his daughter and one on his wife. So we don't really know.
So the wife's but the wife's situation did come up in one of the rumors I heard. That's why I'm like, I really want to wait.
And it does really make sense because the actual bomb threat that was in Muskogee was at his house.
Yeah.
And in his house was the ex-wife and his child.
Well, he called her. He called his wife and told her that he had killed.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think there's more to. That's what I'm thinking.
I killed your guy.
That's what I'm thinking.
He killed her guy because again, if you're having that much back pain, how do you have enough sense to set a bomb or do the threat? You would be somewhere. All I'm saying is if you're in that much back pain and it's nothing personal, but just the back pain, you're probably trying to get somewhere and lay down. So if he was going to do this, why was there a bomb threat at the house where the wife lived or ex-wife and the child?
Like I said, all respect to the family of this. He's
gonna get her too. He's gonna get her too. He thought about getting her too, probably.
All respect to the family of this guy. I know y'all are going through it, and we're not trying to smear anybody's name, but I do think that there was something more to this. I think it has something to do with the ex-wife. I think it has something to do with all of this.
And I do hate that because from my understanding, Dr. Phillips was married as well, right?
I'm not sure.
So, people don't realize that when you do this, it's not the only two people that are involved in this that gets hurt. This was a trickle down thing.
He has a daughter. I don't know how many daughters he has, but I do know that from what I hear about him, that he did love his daughters.
And that home
spoke highly of him to his patients, always talking about his daughter.
Yeah. And then from what I've heard is that I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about Dr. Phillips. They said that he was kind, he was caring, that he was the type of doctor that would cater in lunches for his staff. He ate the cost for that, didn't want them to leave. They could leave, but let me show you my appreciation. I have spoken with and I have read at least 20 people who have known him, and not one person had a bad thing to say about him. So when the rumor came out about the wife, that's why I was kind of taken aback. Like, how do you get this many people to praise you and nobody say one bad thing, and then all of a sudden he was having an affair?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna wait because I told y'all this when my house got hit by the car.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, "Oh yeah, you remember that? You know that house that got hit by a car on Christmas? She was seeing it was the ex-wife, and she was seeing her husband. I wish I had that much stuff going on. That had nothing to do with me. The woman that hit my house was on drugs.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's amazing the type of rumors that get formulated
right
by people who
quickly.
have nothing else to do.
I haven't even heard that.
Yeah, I read it. I read it that he was having Dr. Phillips was having an affair with his wife or had one. I also read that he had performed a back surgery on the wife and they weren't happy with that. I also heard that he had performed a surgery on the daughter and she died. It was like 3 or 4 rumors
Right,
out.
so that's why I wanted to wait before I talked about, with specific intent on what was happening, because I don't know.
But what amazed me out of all the questions that were asked, nobody asked about the ongoing protection of the patients and the.
I was going to ask about the vulnerability of it.
The employees,
yeah,
at the facility.
They're going to have to
I mean, they allowed everybody to ask questions. Nobody brought up that. They didn't even address that. And
well,
then they had like
crying,
the workers there, and they had up top. They had workers, healthcare workers, and it was just amazing. Nobody even mentioned
what building was that in?
The heart building.
Yeah.
That they had the meeting in was in the Hart building? Okay.
And then one guy asked the dumbest question about, ooh, like, you. Was it racially motivated? The chief did like, the chief was like, he turned around to the lady that you said was crying, like, but the expression on his face was like, he said that she was like.
But you know why he said that, right? Because there was only one black person that got killed. The rest of them were Caucasian women.
No, but they kept on saying that he specifically was there to kill the doctor.
None of them would get killed if it was racially motivated.
I know. They kept on saying like he was there to, even before he asked the question. This was after the police chief laid out everything blow by blow to where you can't get it confused. He read it like a kid book. It was like somebody reading a story. And he turned around and said, after all the questions the other people asked, was it racially motivated? He just told you that a letter in his pocket was found. He was specifically there to kill Dr. Phillips, a black man, which is another black man.
And anybody who got in his way.
Said, was this racially motivated? It sounded like he was touched. People was looking at this dude like,
no, it doesn't sound like he was touched. No, what it sounded like he was, he was baiting.
Right.
He was baiting is what he was doing. He was baiting.
He wanted the racists to come out.
Baiting
the
situation.
Stupid asking that. A black officer, a black
he was baiting. He was baiting in his mind. He was baiting the situation for whatever reason. We'll never know. Well, maybe he got fired that day. I don't know. But he was baiting that situation. He was baiting that. He was baiting that situation. But the other thing I wanted to talk about too was the vulnerability. Like even yesterday, I think everybody is on high alert. Like everyone. Like okay, for instance, my daughter, she don't know this girl, but the girl posted it. And maybe it was a joke, maybe it was being funny, but she said, hey, went to Walmart today, saw an angry white boy walking around. So I left. Not today, Satan. Yeah. And that was the young girl. So this girl is like 17 to 20. I don't know how old she is. I'm gonna say 17 to 20. But her frame of mind was, why are you walking around Walmart this angry? Didn't have a basket, didn't have anything, had on a little bit of a jacket. Not quite sure where they were, but it's pretty warm pretty much everywhere we are. I got on a sweater because I got on a tank top, but I'm just saying it's pretty.
And I wear a jacket everywhere.
And so at this point, it's kind of warm. You could or could not have a little light jacket on. I saw, and she specifically said, I saw an angry white boy walking around Walmart, so I just left. Not today. Said basically saying that whatever she had in her cart, she just walked away. And it's like everybody is on high alert, but it ain't just the white people. Okay, it's not just.
Allow me to say this.
Okay.
Right, and that's the problem. Because now we don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or when.
So I am a therapist. For those who don't know. So do you want to know how many plans of safety that I had to go over with kids this week? Well, what do you think you should do when there's an active shooter?
Man, but they know tell them what you're gonna do in a situation like that.
Well, and I said, somebody who has a plan is always somebody that's halfway prepared. So if you have a plan and you run over it specifically with specifically with people who are on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
you have to run over it, and you have to run over it, and you have to run over it because you want it drilled.
So now the
that they do
spectrum
it-
are our kids, right?
No, I'm talking about on the autism spectrum. That's
Okay. Okay.
So, but definitely, you want to make sure your kids know, one, I love you no matter what you do. Two, don't be the hero unless unless you just know you can do it. But three, go somewhere and hide. I want you to come home to me safely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they even talked about
I mean, let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. We have all had this conversation with our sons, specifically our black sons, because of police violence, right?
Yeah.
But now we have to have this conversation with all of our children,
Right.
because we don't know where it's going to come.
Because
But
the biggest threat
I
is not the
tell people,
police at this point, is
I
it?
tell people, if anything just don't look right to you, just always follow your
If your
instinct.
spirit
Yeah, your
says,
guts, your guts
spirit
speak.
says go, you got to go.
But the biggest
Because
threat, the biggest threat
to
at this
me,
point is not
no
the
way
police,
to
is it?
prepare.
No.
The biggest threat to right now today is
Okay.
not the police.
Yeah.
Maybe a month ago, but right now today, the biggest threat is not the police.
No, I think it's still a threat.
I think it's a threat.
No, I think it's still a threat, but we've been faced with more mass shootings
like
than we
that-
have police shootings in the last month.
just
That's what
been
I'm saying.
highlighted more.
Really?
Yeah.
You think there's been a lot of police?
Because we continue to hear stories from different places about police brutality.
How do you
I've still been seeing some stories.
how do you
Right.
walk back up into
Recently.
how do you
Yeah,
walk back up
recently.
into a place of business after something like this happened? Even if it didn't happen at your place of business, what about the other people who work at other doctors' offices?
And that's why I was surprised that nobody asked that question and that they didn't address it to the workers up there at their facility. How are we going to keep y'all safe from going here on forward?
You know,
They
and
said
that's
they gonna shut that office down. Nobody will ever use that.
Well, I'm saying they got 4 or 5 different floors,
Yeah,
but I'm talking about the whole facility, because you know that
I'm talking about in general. I ain't even talking about
St.
just there.
Francis is huge,
Right?
Like
St. Francis is huge.
Tear that whole building down for one office.
Well,
no. What we're just talking about guards.
Well, I'm talking about how are they going to
security?
You know, because
the vulnerability,
like you said, they have to go to work the next day because they work in the hospital.
The next few days, they're gonna probably have some security out there.
But see, that's the thing. What are they going to do? That's what I wanted them to address.
Not the next few days.
Like, yeah, but that's exactly what they'll do for the few days. They'll be heavy with security. Then they'll kind of get laxed.
I mean, to be honest, that's the most a hospital. Any hospital is the most vulnerable place that you can be at. It should be heavy security there anyway. Like there's certain floors, like the baby floor. You can't get on the baby floor. You literally have to have a badge or have a code or somebody you have to be buzzed. You cannot go on the delivery floor.
I just think right now you really have to be tuned in with yourself. And when I say that, really be tuned in because
and your family and your kids.
I'm talking about because your family they're gonna be in situations, grocery stores by themselves. They got to be in tune with themselves. Are they going to follow their instincts or they're going to follow their notion to do what's good? Because now the way I'm looking at it is like it's going to go either both ways because you're going to be thankful that some people have guns with them in their in a situation of somebody acting a fool and just start shooting. But then on the other hand, you're going to have more people going around and you're not going to know if they're good or bad for the youth. So,
can I be honest?
But I'll be thankful to see more people with guns because of stuff like this. I mean, it helps.
Initially, I'm not gonna lie, when we became the open carry state, initially, I'm not gonna lie, it used to aggravate me when people walk around with their guns on their hips. I'm not saying they shouldn't carry them. I'm not saying all of us in this room may have one, but we're not walking around with it on our hips. I just think that, in my opinion, it used to draw too much attention because if I am going to do something illicit or crazy, I'm gonna get you first. And then it would also be the type of people that I saw with the guns on their hips. Almost as like, I'm daring you to run over the back of my foot with this basket, or I'm daring you to step on my. It was like almost like I dare you to say something to me out of line.
My thing be, just even like with some of these police, you quick to shoot somebody without a gun, but will you cower up when you see when it's some real action going on? Because a lot of them have it on their hip and be ready to shoot somebody unarmed, a black person. But if you see an active shooter, will you really go around this corner and try to shoot this dude?
I might.
No, I'm talking about a lot of these people that's in the store with these guns on their hips. Like
that. What about the woman that
they had their shirt tucked in real hard so they could right. Pull it up so you can see they gun. They pushing the grocery basket. And they had a gun on their hip, and they just be.
He walk around like this.
Them the ones I wonder what they really. Even if you like, I'm not even saying would you help me, but you got other people that's your color. If you see an active shooter in Walmart and you this white man with this gun on you, would you actually go in action and help the people? You know what I'm saying?
He might shoot the wrong person. Right.
You know what? But I thought about that, and